At Christmas I bought a bird feeder and we waited a long time before any birds appeared. In February we had a spate of very cold weather, which is called the beast from the east, and then in March we had a repeat, which rather put spring on hold for a while, and in April we saw these little critters. These colourful goldfinches have become quite ubiquitous in this neck of the wood, and I think throughout the country their numbers have increased quite considerably. And it gave me an opportunity to not just take photographs, but decided to take various types of video. And this is what happens. The first character that turned up was a bit of a, well, it looked as if he'd been through the hedge backwards, judging by how his head had got a little bit bushy. But I seem to like sunflower hearts and Niger seeds. And here's joined by another friend, his friend here. Meanwhile, directly across the other the row of houses over the back, a pair of gulls, herring gulls, have started a nest, and this particular one is just sitting there waiting for the eggs to hatch by the looks of it. Be interesting to see how that develops. It seems a little bit of egg turning is occurring here, and in a second it will just settle down. There she goes. Well, there he goes. I don't know. They both take duties in nest rearing. They seem to have the partner who's come along to make sure things are all going well and just keeping an eye on things. Meanwhile, setting up the camera from in an upstairs window, it was good to be able to focus in, zoom in on the goldfinches feeding and to study their plumage. Very colourful birds, and they seem to be their main visitor. I remembered I had an action camera, and I thought it'd be a good idea to set the camera up right by the bird feeder and just allow it to run and walk away from it for a short while and allow the birds to come along unhindered. And it was quite an interesting experiment. Now that the goldfinches have established themselves, the sparrows have started to make inroads and are becoming more daring by the day. And this is what it looks like when you slow it down. In slow motion you can see how quickly the sparrow eats, and a quarter of the speed you can see that he takes several mouthfuls, although his visit seems only to take a moment. I was fascinated by the fact that when I left the action camera in a different location, a sparrow moved in and took the stage for a while, and it's interesting to see its behaviour, taking a drink and then going to the tree and going to the feed and then flying off. Meanwhile, on the chimney stack opposite, our gull is still sitting on her brood. It might be another week or two before they hatch. Back at the bird feeder, we're attracting more and more goldfinches. They're arriving in their 2s and 3s and 4s, and I've actually had 5 on occasion. But it's difficult to tell if they're male or female. You can tell according to their the amount of red around their faces, but it's quite difficult to do so. It's quite fascinating to see how they arrive. They they perch on a wire, keep an eye on things, and then pop down and have a feed. They're down having a feed for a long time sometimes, and they pop back up onto a wire and just stay there, chirp away quite happily, and then attract other birds to the feeder. Action cameras are great because you can set it up right next to the bird feeder and they're unaware they're being filmed. I quite like doing that. I set up the action camera right above the feeder, and I was delighted to see that we have yet another visitor to the garden who shot in, and here he is, the great tit. And it's quite interesting to see what happens because the great tit comes in and muscles in on the act again. It's interesting, when he arrives, everybody else disappears, and once he's well out the way, then they come back again.